It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, KCAL 9 presents the Dodgers as they take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Tuesday evening to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers and D-backs, Chad Billingsley 2-2 against a left-hander, Wade Miley, with a record of 3-1. The Dodgers, well, they have the best record in baseball. They have the best home record. They are 6-1 against left-handers at home, and they're trying for their second six-game winning streak of the year. All things going well? Not quite. They now have Matt Kemp on the DL. He joins Juan Rivera, he joins Jerry Hairston, and he joins Juan Uribe. So the Dodgers short in a lot of areas. They brought up Jerry Sands, they brought Elian Herrera up, and we will see how they will go without Matt Kemp. A lot of pressure on Andre Ethier. We'll get to the ball game. We'll have it all coming up for you right after this. Thursday evening to you. Welcome to Dodger Stadium on a gorgeous summer's evening as the Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks plan to complete a very brief two-game series. Dodgers will bust down to San Diego to play two and then return to play the Cardinals here on the weekend. Tonight is Orel Hershiser bobblehead night. Before the game, Orel threw out the first pitch. His catcher was Clayton Kershaw, and he stood out there alongside of Tommy Lasorda. Orel, by the way, had asked Kirk Gibson to be the catcher for the ceremonial first pitch, but Gibby said, no, I have tremendous respect for Orel Hershiser. We were teammates together, but I am not a Dodger. I am the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Gibson said, if I were out of baseball, yes, but not as long as I wear an Arizona uniform, and anyone who knows Kirk respects those wishes. So we have seen the ceremonial first pitch. The D-backs with a three-game losing streak, and Gibby's lineup goes this way. Gerardo Parra in center field, and Willie Bloomquist at short. Justin Upton in right, and Miguel Montero will hit cleanup. Jason Kubel in left field, Ryan Roberts at third, Lyle Overbay at first, Aaron Hill at second, and a left-hander, Wade Miley, on the mound. On the mound for the Dodgers, Chad Billingsley with a record of 2 wins and 2 losses. He was 1-2 against Arizona last year, and he is 10-7 lifetime. For his high point so far, remember that game, his first start against San Diego, when he struck out 11. Talking about San Diego, it'll be Chris Capuano tomorrow afternoon and Aaron Harang Thursday night. So here we go. Gerardo Parra will start it off. The left-hand batter hitting .259 with 2 home runs, 12 runs batted in. Billingsley's fastball is in for a strike, and the count 0-1. So Gerardo Parra, who is hitting better on the road than he is at home. He's a .313 hitter on the road, and he's hitting only .217 at home for whatever reason. Of course, for Arizona, with a 3-game losing streak, and they've really turned sour since the 2nd of May. Parra swings, hits a fly ball to center field, and Andre Ethier, playing center, makes the catch for the out. Look at the Dodger outfield now that Matt Kemp sits down. Jerry Sands is in left field, Andre Ethier in center, and Scott Van Slyke in right. If you wonder about Andre Ethier, he played center field in the All-Star game 2010 in Anaheim. He also played center field in rookie A-ball in Vancouver for the Oakland A's back in 2003. And for Matt Kemp, after .399, he is forced to sit down. By the way, now that Matt Kemp's streak has come to an end, you know who has the consecutive game streak? Prince Fielder, 216. Line drive, base hit by Willie Bloomquist after Parra flies to center. So Bloomquist, a single, and the struggling Justin Upton coming up. Of course, when you talk about Justin Upton struggling, you know you have to be very cautious. He's had a really bad start this year. Upton hitting just .226, 3 home runs, 9 runs batted in. Maybe as bad a start as he has ever had, certainly in the first 33 games. But he is a multi-talented player, and he's liable to break out at any time. Billingsley from a stretch, and there goes Bloomquist, and there goes the ball down the right field line, but it's foul. So they'll have to send Bloomquist back to first, and Upton up there, no balls and 1 strike. Upton with 9 runs batted in, averaging through 33, usually about 16. So Upton back up. Ever since the 2nd of May, Arizona has lost 10 of the last 12. They've lost 3 straight. They had won 7 out of 10 at the start of the year, and then have gone 8-18. But as Gibson reminded them, let's just say they lose tonight. That will be the identical record they had last year when they came back to win the West. Last year they were 15-22. Upton takes low. Right now they're 15-21. Now, one other note about Kirk Gibson managing against the Dodgers with Miguel Montero on deck. Gibby's record, 14 wins and 14 losses. 1-1 the count. Just starting. Billingsley from a stretch. Bloomquist draws another throw and dives back. The Diamondback runners, Bloomquist has stolen 3, but he's also been caught 3. Gerardo Parra has stolen 8 out of 10, and Justin Upton has stolen 6 out of 7. 1-1 the count. Billingsley again ready in the 1-1 pitch. Upton lays off a pitch that's low, ball 2, 2-1. So Chad Billingsley trying to get the Dodgers to win their 6th in a row. They had a 6-game winning streak early in April. Clubs have also won 7 out of 10. 2 balls and 1 strike. Upton, tired of waiting, backs out. 2-1. We'll see if Gibby plays hit and run. It's the manager's count. Bloomquist, who went on the first pitch, poised and at the ready, not going. And it's swung on, hit in the air down the right field line, coming a long way and making a try to no avail is Scott Van Slyke. Scotty going into a slide. The problem with that, the wall is padded, but not the base of the wall. That's concrete. The other night, great catch by Andre Ethier, but his knee got the worst of it. So underneath the padding, there's a good 6 to 8 inches of concrete. Van Slyke racing, sliding, came up empty. So Upton comes back with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Who would have thunk it? Jerry Sands in left, Andre Ethier in center, and Scott Van Slyke in right. 15th of May. 2-2 the count to Justin Upton. Out of a stretch, there goes Bloomquist, a broken bat and a fly ball. Andre Ethier comes up to make the catch, and they get Upton on the fly ball. So back to first is Bloomquist, and with 2 outs, the batter will be Miguel Montero. In looking at Chad Billingsley's work, we can see that Montero hitting .344 against him with a home run. Aaron Hill has a home run. So Billingsley prepares to work now to the left-hand hitting Miguel Montero, hitting .261. One thing that is struggling for Montero is making contact. He goes after the first pitch and pops it up. Gordon goes out. Sands comes in. It's Gordon alongside of Sands. So Montero, a fly ball, winds up in the hands of the shortstop. No runs, a hit, a man left. At the end of half an inning, D-backs nothing. Dodgers coming up. Here's Don Mattingly's lineup. Dee Gordon at shortstop and Mark Ellis at second base. Scott Van Slyke in right field. Andre Ethier hits cleanup in center. A.J. Ellis has moved up to hit number 5 behind the plate. Then you have Jerry Sands in left. James Loney at first. Justin Sellers, who made that circus catch last night, well enough to come back and play third. And Chad Billingsley on the mound. On the mound for Arizona, Wade Miley. He's 6'1" and 220. He's 25 years old, out of Larangia, Louisiana. Went to school at the University of Louisiana. He was a #1 pick by the Diamondbacks, and we can give you some rather interesting notes about him. The first inning against him, the league is hitting 158, and he starts with a strike to Dee Gordon. His first 25 pitches of a game, the league is hitting 174. Fastball swung on and missed, 0-2 the count. Another couple of things about him. The first 2 hitters in the lineup are hitting 172, and that'll do it for Dee Gordon. 3 pitches, see you later. So Wade Miley, the country boy out of Louisiana, doesn't waste any time. 3 pitches, the last one 91, and Gordon strikes out. Miley was originally selected about 7 years ago by the Devil Rays, but he turned it down to go to the University of Louisiana. He grew up dreaming that one day he would pitch for the Atlanta Braves. Against whom did he make his major league debut? Sure, the Atlanta Braves. His first pitch to Mark Ellis is a strike, and the count 0-1. Now the strike 1 pitch is high and away. Another thing, when he is ahead in the count, batters are hitting 109. So he jumped out in front, now 1-1. The next one foul back. So Mark Ellis hitting 263, 1 home run, 8 runs batted in a hole, 1-2. Dodgers have done very well against left-handers here at Dodger Stadium. They're 6-1. The 1-2 pitch inside almost hit Ellis. So the left-hander Wade Miley, as they say, good old boy, and his 2-2 pitch is a little low, ball 3, 3-2. Waiting on deck, hitting in the number 3 slot, Scott Van Slyke. 3-2 pitch. Miley comes back and is probably banged into center. A fastball that was really jumped on. So a 1-out line drive single by Mark Ellis. And the batter, Scott Van Slyke. So Van Slyke going up against another young ball player in Wade Miley. Scotty is batting 1,000. Remember, he came off the bench as a pinch hitter, had a broken bat single. He has 3 runs batted in, and he now has 2 hits, including a double. So the big right-hand batter, and a throw to first. Mark Ellis back. Scott Van Slyke, whose father was a great player, Andy Van Slyke, won Gold Gloves 5 straight years. Terrific player. Scott, right-hand hitter and a big boy, and Miley delivers fastball in there for a strike. Van Slyke is 6'5" and 220. And Van Slyke now looking down to Tim Wallach with 1 out and Mark Ellis at first base. Oh and 1. Out of his stretch is Miley. Back to the plate. This time he has a little low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Behind the plate, the veteran umpire Tim McClellan, who has spent 30 years umpiring in the major leagues. He was behind the plate when David Wells pitched the perfect game in 1998. Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way. Miley delivers, fastball hit back to the box. The play down to second for 1. They can't turn it because Aaron Hill is tied up on the hard slide by Mark Ellis, and he's unable to get a throw off. So it's a force play, and a nice play by the left-hander Miley. He got it in time, but while in the act of throwing, Hill lost a grip on the ball. So a runner at first with 2 out, and that allows center fielder Andre Ethier to come out. We'll repeat that note. Andre was the National League All-Star center fielder 2 years ago. The game played in Anaheim, and he also played in rookie Class A at Vancouver when he was in the Oakland A's chain. So Andre waiting, and he fouls the first pitch away, and the count 0-1. So Wade Miley, he has the reputation of working quickly, and he has lived up to that. Boy, he just gets the ball and he's ready to throw. Miley looks down the barrel to get a sign. Now out of a stretch. A look over at Van Slyke, and the pitch to Ethier is swung on and missed, and the count 0-2. Big burden, of course, on the shoulders of Andre Ethier, and they're broad and strong enough to carry it. He has improved dramatically in the fact that he's hitting .315 against left-hand pitching. Miley out of a stretch, and the strike 2 pitch coming up. Fastball fouled away. Andre Ethier trying to extend the inning. Ethier has done very well. 8 home runs, 33 runs batted in. No score, bottom of the first inning. Miley ready, here he comes, and it's fouled away off third down the line, out of play. And it's still no balls and 2 strikes. Dodgers are 6-1 during a 10-game stretch against the West. With 3 games left, they have tonight against Arizona, and then 2 games in San Diego, and then they will run head-to-head into the St. Louis Cardinals. Strike 2 pitch coming up, and it's fouled away again upstairs off to the left. Dodgers will play the Cardinals, then they'll leave again, go over to Arizona for 3 games, and come back and play Houston and Milwaukee before going out on a pretty long road trip. Colorado, Philadelphia, and Seattle. No balls and 2 strikes. They count to Andre Ethier. Miley ready, comes right back with a breaking ball, swung on and missed, and he took a lot off it. Ethier way out in front. So Miley strikes out 2, gives up a base hit, and at the end of an inning, no score. Billingsley had a first pitch strike to all 4 hitters in the first inning. Starts and misses with a breaking ball, ball 1 to Jason Kubel. Jason Kubel had been one of the top hitters since middle April. after a slow start. Left-hand hitter, and the 1-0 pitch is swung on and fouled away. In the first 8 games, Kubel hit 200. He had just 1 extra base hit. But since the 17th of April, hitting .322, 11 extra base hits, 12 RBIs, and he's just been a one-man band. 1-1 pitch is hit in the air, slicing to left field. Sands on that dead run, can't get it. Going to land inside the line. Kubel is into second base, and leading off the inning, he will stop at second. And Roberts, Overbay, and Hill will try to pick him up. So the slicing fly ball to left field off the bat of the left-hand hitter. Sands could only try to run it down and nothing else. So Kubel continues his hot hitting. The leadoff double, and Ryan Roberts checking in. Roberts, another fellow who struggled in the month of April. In April, he just could not get himself started. Right-hand batter hitting .204 and takes it a little high. Ball 1-1-0. The Arizona Diamondbacks, they certainly made history last year. The D-backs under Gibby were the first team in history to go from last place in a division in April to first place in a division in May. 1 ball and no strikes the count. Out of his stretch goes Billingsley, looks ready and deals. Fastball is pulled foul outside at third. 1-1 the count. You may remember they overcame a 6.5 game deficit to catch the Giants in the final 3 days of May. And what a spurt that was. They won 15 out of 18. And Gibby is forever reminding them of what they did last year, how they came from nowhere. 1-1 the count to Ryan Roberts. He fouls one off to the right out of play. Meanwhile, sitting quietly, Ian Kennedy, who pitched pretty well last night, but not well enough. Went 6 innings, allowed 3 runs, and suffered the loss. A 21 game winner last year. He led the Diamondbacks when he went 21-4. Right now he's 3-3. 1-2 the count to Ryan Roberts. Billingsley out of a stretch, no score, second inning. Roberts takes on the inside corner, strike 3 call. He started his swing and held up, and we have 1 away. That would be the first strikeout for Chad Billingsley, who has allowed 2 hits. So with 1 out, Lyle Overbay is coming up. Overbay, left-hand batter, has always hit right-hand pitching pretty well. In his career, he's hitting .276. And this year, against right-handers, he's really enjoying a good time, hitting .350. So his overall batting average is at .318. He takes an off-speed pitch that's high, ball 1-1-0. So Lyle Overbay trying to pick up his man. In his last 11 games, Overbay is hitting .429, so he's been a very hot hitter. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Overbay fouls it back. So Chad Billingsley with a record of 2-2, trying to get above 500. Chad last game did not figure in the decision. He went 4 innings and allowed 2 runs. Jason Kubel at second base, 1 out, no score. Kubel had double to left. Roberts strikes out. And we're waiting on Overbay. Hitting behind Overbay, Aaron Hill, the second baseman, who had a walk and a home run last night. 1 ball and 1 strike. Billingsley very deliberate, and his 1-1 pitch swung on, big chopper to third. Sellers looks Kubel back to the bag and throws out Overbay. Arizona's offense has been very sporadic, and one thing they've not been able to do really is advance runners. The entire offense is just about average with the rest of the league, so it's pretty frustrating time, and they're certainly not driving in base runners. They've had 7 runners picked off. Now the Dodgers will walk Aaron Hill, and we'll take a look at Wade Miley. Wade Miley, by the way, is a pretty good hitter. And when Miley comes up, he will bring a 5-game hitting streak, believe it or not. Though we will see now. After they walk Hill, they'll have runners at first and second. Mattingly and Honeycutt, I'm sure, have gotten plenty of scouting reports on the ability of Wade Miley to hit the ball. So in a moment, there'll be runners at first and second with 2 out. Miley, as his weights is at bat, is hitting .417. 5 hits, all singles. In 12 at bats, he has struck out twice. So let's see what the young pitcher does against Chad Billingsley. So Kubel opened up with a double to left, but Roberts struck out. Overbay grounds to third, so they can't advance the runner. They put Hill aboard, and Miley hits as he pitches, left-handed. 5-game hitting streak. That's not bad at all. Out of a stretch is Billingsley, and the pitch is swung on. Little roller foul outside of first, and the count 0-1. So Kubel goes back to second. Back to first goes Hill, and Miley waits. Miley is from the bayou country of Louisiana, and he does do alligator hunting. 0-1 the count. He promptly swings, fouls the next one. What happens with Wade Miley, like so many of the kids growing up in the bayou, they look at the History Channel, and there's a show on the History Channel called Swamp People. It's a TV series documenting alligator hunting in Louisiana. So you do what the guys do on TV. 0-2 the count to Wade Miley, who takes very high, ball 1. Miley is 6'1" and 220. He'll be 22 the middle of November. 2 on, 2 out, no score, second inning. And the 1-2 pitch to Miley. Billingsley delivers, breaking ball swung on and missed. It gets away from Ellis, who throws to first, too late. And the bases are loaded. So we will see. We know it's listed a strikeout, whether it's a pass ball or a wild pitch. But we do know Arizona has loaded the bases. Kubel's at third. Hill is now at second. And Miley is at first. And Gerardo Parra coming up with the bases loaded and 2 out. So Parra hitting .257. He was the eye of the storm, and we talked about it last year, when Hung Chi Kuo almost took his head off with a fastball. He takes a curveball in there for a strike, and the count 0-1. If you're keeping score, it's a strikeout wild pitch. For Billingsley, it would be his second wild pitch. Parra with 2 home runs, 12 runs batted in. Going back to last year, I'm always amazed. I mean, Kuo's pitch almost nailed Parra in the head. He never said a word. Then he hits a home run and watches the ball go out, and the Dodgers get furious. But that's the world of the baseball player. Parra takes way off, 1 ball and 1 strike. Then, of course, Parra got hit by a pitch. And then last night, we had Kershaw and Kennedy reliving a rather dangerous moment from last year. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Parra, left-hand hitter. Billingsley delivers, slow breaking ball, and it's low, ball 2. Parra has 1 grand slam, and he hit it this year. He hit it against Atlanta. 2-1 the count to Gerardo Parra. Parra from Venezuela. Time for the moment called by the plate umpire. There's a beach ball loose in right field. So Kubel, Hill, and Miley. Bases loaded, 2 out, no score, second inning. Parra last year had 8 home runs, 46 runs batted in. He has 2 so far this year. Left-hand batter waiting. And the 2-1 pitch, Parra has a look, and that's low and away. Ball 3. So an anxious moment for Billingsley. He had Miley struck out, but he committed a wild pitch. Parra usually swings at the first pitch, so it's a little rare to see Parra up there and looking at the 5th pitch of the at-bat. Billingsley set. Here he comes, and that one is low. Ball 4. Everybody moves up 90 feet. A run batted in for Parra. Bringing it home is Kubel. And the D-backs take a 1-0 lead. So for the Dodgers, a strikeout and a wild pitch, and they pay the price. So Parra now at first. Hill is at third, and moving up to second base is Wade Miley. Willie Bloomquist single to left field in the first inning. D-backs lead the Dodgers 1-0. Billingsley from a stretch, and the pitch to Willie, and that's a little low. Ball 1, and Ellis going out to the mound. For Willie Bloomquist, he has 1 grand slam. He hit it against Tampa Bay, but he's, to be honest, probably the only one who remembers. It was 9 years ago. So Willie hitting .221. He has 6 runs batted in. And of course, for Arizona, 1 mistake, the strikeout wild pitch, and they're trying to make Billingsley really pay for it. Now the 1-0 pitch on the way is taken high and inside. Ball 2. Well, let's check. We'll make it 1-1. Tim McClellan, you have to watch that right hand. He really doesn't show it too much. So 1 ball and 1 strike to Willie Bloomquist. That grand slam that he hit was his first major league home run. The 1-1 pitch is taken low in the dirt. Nice block by A.J. Coming into the game and looking at Billingsley's numbers, he had 14 walks, but he had 34 strikeouts. So better than 2-1. Struggling a little bit here. The intentional walk, then a walk that forced over the run. 2-1 the count. Billingsley set, comes back, and that's inside. So he goes 3-1 to Bloomquist. Willie is from Bremerton, Washington. Went to school at Arizona State. He became the first graduate of Arizona State to play ball for the Diamondbacks. Miley and Hill and Parra are all out there. Now the 3-1 pitch is swung on. Fly ball high enough for Ethier to get under it, and he does. So Bloomquist flies to center. Dodgers get out of it cheaply enough and surrender 1. And at the end of an inning and a half, 1-0 Arizona. inning. But with 2 out, that's when the bulk of the pitches were made. He made 18 pitches after he had 2 out. And of course, what hurt him, the strikeout of Miley, only to result in a wild pitch, which loaded the bases, and the walk to Parra got the run in. So we go to the bottom of the second inning, 1-0 in favor of Arizona. A.J. Ellis, Jerry Sands, and James Loney in that order. A.J. Ellis has reached base safely, base hit or walk, in 24 straight and 27 of the last 28. So he has truly been remarkable. A.J., since the, well, let's put it the other way. The first 12 games he played, he hit .222. Since the 23rd of April, A.J. Ellis is hitting .380. He has 3 home runs, 15 runs batted in. And the right-hand hitter ready to face the left-hander Wade Miley. Miley's fastball in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Basically, he throws a lot of two-seam fastballs, pretty good slider. He also has curveball, change, and a cutter. He gets another strike, and the count 0-2. When Wade Miley was in high school, he played center field. So he's not a bad hitter, and we saw the strike 2 pitch, curveball in the dirt, ball 1. Wade last year was diagnosed with a strained rotator cuff, so he missed a few weeks. The 1-2 pitch on the way, check swing foul as the ball bounces up into the stands. 93-mile-an-hour fastball. So Wade Miley looks in, works a little bit off the third base side of the rubber. Fastball is hit foul upstairs. Staying right around 93. That's the comfortable number for him. Arizona players were talking about Miley coming from Little Ranger, Louisiana, paying his first visit to New York. The pitch is swung on and missed, and that will do it for Ellis. That would be the 3rd strikeout for Wade Miley. You know, you can follow the Dodgers with MLB.com at @12 for your iPhone, iPad, BlackBerry, Android, and Windows Mobile. You can get live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. So text @BAT to 31826 or visit Dodgers.com for details. Jerry Sands, right-hand batter, breaks his bat, hits a little fly ball to right. It's going to drop for a base hit. So we saw Scott Van Slyke break his bat and get a base hit for his first major league hit. Jerry Sands had appeared before, you remember, last year, and he had 50 hits. So that's far from being his first, but he shatters the bat, drops a fly ball single, and with 1 out, it'll bring up James Loney. D-backs lead 1-0. Miley went to New York, and you can just imagine coming from the Bayou country. He said, there's people everywhere. You can't even cross the road. The taxi cabs are going to run over you. He was not happy with New York at all. So Wade out of his stretch now, unhappy with a broken bat single by Sands, and Loney pulls one foul, a bullet into the stands down the right field line. No balls and 1 strike to James. Hitting .245. He has a home run, 8 runs batted in. Loney struggling, however, against left-handers, just hitting .152. He's had a very good homestand, hitting .409 through the first 7. Fastball swung on and missed. Loney's head snapping back. He swung so hard. That was that two-seamer. Miley throwing that 92-mile-an-hour fastball, but trying to keep everything down. Sands at first with 1 out. 1-0 D-backs, bottom of the second. Miley back with another fastball, grounded to the right side. They will get 1. Throw to first. They will get 2. So the 4-6-3 double play No runs, 1 hit, and nobody left. And at the end of 2, D-backs 1, Dodgers nothing. It'll be Upton, Montero, and Kubel. Upton flied to center in the first inning. Slender right-hand batter. And Billingsley ready to go to work. Chad into his windup. Right-hander deals, and it's fouled back. And the count 0-1. You know, before the ball game, a bunch of us sitting around in the broadcasting booth. Brad Zager, Rob Menchel, Boyd Robertson, myself. And the subject came up about Matt Kemp and the fact that his streak of 399 games have come to an end. Strike one pitch is taken a little low, 1-1. And we mentioned that Prince Fielder now has the consecutive streak at 216. And Brad mentioned, you know, you really shake your head to think about Cal Ripken. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Upton takes a strike, and they count 1-2. I mean, Cal Ripken played in 2,632 games. I mean, how blessed can you be without injury? Well, of course, he did play hurt. But how in the world can you play that many games? Upton, a lazy fly ball to right. Over there is Van Slyke to make the catch. So 1 away here in the third inning. And, of course, another thought, and the fact the Dodgers losing Matt Kemp for a little while, especially they have the 2 games with Arizona here, the 3 games in Arizona. And you know, in the last 2 years, Matt Kemp has 41 runs batted in against Arizona. And they're going to miss that for sure. Well, here's Montero, popped up in the first inning, rolls one up the middle. Behind the bag is Gordon to get the catcher. And just like that, quickly 2 out in the third. But yeah, just think about it. Coast to coast, day games following night games, 4 a.m. arrival in hotels, and you play 2,632 games without a pause. Really is unbelievable. Jason Kubel doubled to left field, slicing one just inside the foul line. He has a look at his strike, and the count 0-1. Diamondbacks lead 1-0 on a strikeout wild pitch that loaded the bases, and then Gerard O'Para walked in the run. Strike one pitch, and that's high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Diamondbacks 9.5 games back of the Dodgers. The pitch of the plate swung on and missed, 1-2. Last year, the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers 10 of 18, and really adding insult to injury, beat the Dodgers 6 out of 9 here. The 1-2 pitch in the dirt. 2-2 the count. 2 down, third inning. D-backs leading 1-0. And one other thought. When you look at Ripken's 2,632 games, we took out the computer and figured it out. That's over 16 years of playing. 2-2 pitch. Swung on, a little roller up along first. Aloni on the bag, and that's that. So quickly 1-2-3 in the third. At the end of 2.5 innings, Billingsley walks off with the D-backs leading 1-0. Very restless Matt Kemp in the Dodger dugout after playing 399. He's acting in there like he has no idea what to do with himself. He's been in and out of the dugout to the clubhouse and back again. After all the work and all the games, they also serve who only stand and wait. Meanwhile, Justin Sellers leading off in the third, 1-0 Arizona. And he takes a strike in the count 0-1. He made an absolutely incredible catch of a foul ball last night off the bat of Miguel Montero. Wouldn't be surprised if Montero congratulated him when he came up to hit just now. What a catch. For those on TV, you have a chance. He crosses the line, catches the ball, and goes head first over the little tarp Corolla and down into the chairs. He holds up on a pitch. It'll cost in the count 0-2. Fortunately, he's okay. Just recalled Friday from Albuquerque. So Justin waiting. Miley ready. Comes back with a changeup, and the kid is way out in front of it. Boy, what a great pitch. So Sellers strikes out on a change. 4 strikeouts for Wade Miley. And the batter is Chad Billingsley. So Miley came in here 3-1, and he just looks great. Young left-hander ready to work on Billingsley and starts him with a strike, and the count 0-1. Strike one pitch. He sure doesn't waste any time. That swung on and missed 0-2. We told you earlier, when he is ahead on the count, the batting average is 109. And Billingsley now deep in a hole, 0-2. Miley allowed a base hit to Mark Ellis with 2 strikes. Gave up a broken bat single on the first pitch to Jerry Sands. Fastball off the plate at 94, and the count 1-2. Wade ready, and the 1-2 fastball is fouled back. So Billingsley trying to put the bat on the ball. Not a bad hitter. He's 1 for 13. He does strike out a lot being a pitcher. And the 1-2 pitch is a breaking ball in the dirt, and the count 2-2. Miley struck out Gordon opening up the game. He has struck out Sellers opening up the third. He struck out A.J. Ellis opening up the second, so you'll understand why leadoff hitters are hitting about 140 against him. Billingsley fouls out to Lyle Overbay. 2 down. So, boy, Wade Miley does a couple of things right out of the pitcher's Bible. First pitch strike and get that leadoff man. Now D. Gordon down on 3 pitches in the first inning. Gordon trying to get aboard where he can wreak havoc. He has 12 stolen bases, but it's been an effort to get aboard. He has struck out 28 times. 1 ball and no strikes. Swings, hits one up the middle. Behind the bag goes Bloomquist, but no play on a guy who runs like D. Gordon. So a 2-out infield single for D. Gordon, and the batter will be Mark Ellis. Slow roller right by the left-hand pitcher. Bloomquist wouldn't quit, but then when he got to the ball, he looked up and Gordon was already at the bag. For the Dodgers, their 3rd hit. 1-0 Arizona, bottom of the 3rd inning. Mark Ellis singled sharply with 2 strikes in the first inning. Mark hitting .269. Miley out of a stretch, very deliberate, just staring at Gordon, and then straddles the rubber and fakes a throw. Miley looks down to get a sign from Miguel Montero. The first pitch, a little low at Ellis' feet. 1 ball and no strikes. They say Miley holds runners on pretty well, although I didn't hear anybody bragging about his move to first. Well, we'll see. Gordon edging off the bag. 1-0 Diamondbacks. 3rd inning. Miley throws over there. And D, who has stolen 12, he's also been caught 5 times, representing a tying run. 1 run, 2 hits for the D-backs. No runs, 3 hits for the Dodgers. And the 1-0 pitch instead, another throw over. Miley, left foot on the rubber. Gordon takes his lead. Not a great lead, but he's leaning. Miley's watching him and then backs off the rubber again. So Gordon just kept leaning, putting more weight on his right leg. Miley was watching him, didn't like what he saw and backed off. There is so much to pitching in the big leagues. Left-hander ready and decides to go to first. Then back to the bag goes D. Gordon. The D-backs run in the 2nd inning. Miley struck out on a wild pitch that loaded the bases with 2 out, and Parra walked to force in the run. Gordon again leaning and faking, and this time the pitch at the plate swung on and fouled back, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Mark Ellis trying to keep it going here with Scott Van Slyke hitting 3rd. How'd you like to be Scott Van Slyke? You've just been called up. You have a couple of hits in the big leagues, and you're replacing Matt Kemp in the cherished number 3 spot. Here's the 1-1 pitch, fastball low and away. 2-1 the count to Mark Ellis. Ellis, as Matt Kemp just stands there chewing on a toothpick and watching. How badly does he want to be out there? 2-1. We'll watch Gordon, and Miley's going to watch him and throws to first again. Mark Ellis has really come alive in the month of May, hitting just under 300 this month. and he's been busy. He scored 9. He has a couple of doubles, a home run, half a dozen RBIs in May. The pitch is swung on, sprayed foul. Second deck off to the right, and they count 2-2. 1 run, 2 hits for the Diamondbacks. Don't forget, Dodgers will be in San Diego tomorrow. They have a 3:30 game on KCAL and a 7:05 game Thursday night on Prime Ticket. 2-2 pitch swung on, a flare into right center. That's a base hit. Over to get it is Upton. Moving to third is Gordon. And the Dodgers have runners at first and third, 2 out, and Scott Van Slyke coming up. So Mark Ellis, a nice bit of hitting, goes the other way. And for his second hit, he's 2 for 2. And here comes Scott. Van Slyke, as we mentioned earlier, in that number 3 hole, as the managers talk. At AAA, before being called up, he put up big numbers. Hit .336. He had 9 doubles, 8 home runs, etc. So here he is now, hit into a force play, hitting back to the box in the first inning. So Gordon at third, Mark Ellis at first, Miley in a little trouble, and his fastball is high, ball 1. As we always do with a runner at third, we check. Miley does not have a wild pitch. 1-0 to Scott Van Slyke, who gives you a sizable strike zone. He is 6'5". Miley looks, here he comes, and the next one is a strike. And they count 1 ball and 1 strike. Scotty from St. Louis, Missouri. Dodgers drafted him out of high school. Been in the Dodger organization since 2006. Now the 1-1 pitch and away. It's a bouncer foul outside of first and down the line. 1-2 the count. Van Slyke, one of those hitters who will lift the front leg. In his case, the left leg, part of a timing mechanism. Van Slyke, I guess, surprised the family and maybe his father when he turned down a baseball scholarship to the University of Mississippi and signed with the Dodgers. That was back in 2005. He had 20 home runs in Chattanooga last year. He had 23 in the California League. 1-2 the count. 1-0 D-backs. Bottom of the third. First and third, 2 out for the Dodgers. The pitch to Van Slyke is fouled away. Still 1-2. Van Slyke had 100 runs batted in the California League. And last year at Chattanooga, he knocked in 92. So he's got the minor league numbers. You have D. Gordon at third, Mark Ellis at first, 2 out. 1-2 the count to Van Slyke. Miley ready. Wade delivers. Fastball hit up the middle. Behind the bag is stepping on it is Hill, and that'll be that. So no runs, 2 hits, and 2 left. And at the end of 3, it remains D-backs 1, Dodgers 0. Miley worked a little hard in the third inning. He made 22 pitches, so he's made 50 all told. Roberts struck out with a runner at second and nobody out in the second inning. He's struggling, hitting only .202, and Ryan fouls one back upstairs, and the count 0-1. Ryan Roberts, out of Texas, born in Fort Worth, lives in North Richland Hills and went to the University of Texas Arlington. Strike one, pitch on the way, and Roberts takes off the plate, 1-1. Dodgers, all they have to do is look back to last year, and they were really burned by Ryan Roberts. The 1-1 pitch on the way, swung on, ground ball hard, smothered by a diving Gordon, but then the ball spins out of his glove, and Roberts is safely aboard. It was the next to the last game of the year last year. Arizona was down 6-1, rallied against the Dodgers, and Ryan Roberts hit a grand slam in the 10th inning, and Arizona beat the Dodgers 7-6. You don't forget those things in a hurry. So Ryan with a base hit to the hole at short, and Lyle Overbay checking in. Throw to first, and Roberts diving back head first. As far as a base running game, Roberts is 3 for 3 in stolen bases. Billingsley looks in to get a sign from Ellis. Roberts poised off the bag, and the pitch is a shot up the middle, fielded by Gordon, who steps on second, makes the play at first. He was a little bit in an awkward position as he fielded the ball behind the bag, but he was still able to step on the bag and get his man at first. Kind of staggered, then got up, got the right foot on, and then the throw to Loney. So the double play, 6-3. The high-flying D. Gordon turns it, and the batter now will be Aaron Hill. Nice play by D. 2 out, 4th inning, 1-0 Arizona. We get a report out of Anaheim that has to do with Mickey Hatcher. And it's kind of sad to get the news tonight of all nights. Strike one pitch is foul back. I mean, you have Oral Hershiser here. You have Kirk Gibson here. 1988 is certainly in the air. And Mickey Hatcher was on that 88 club. Actually, he was with the Dodgers in 2 tours of duty, 1979 and 80, and then 1987 to 1990. And as you probably know, Mickey Hatcher was the batting coach for the Angels, who have not been doing much batting. Been shut out a bunch, last place. Albert Pujols struggling, and I guess you could say somebody has to pay the bill. So we get the news. Mickey Hatcher has been fired, cut loose, however you want to use it, as hitting coach for the Angels. Aaron Hill with a 2-2 count. Billingsley ready and delivers, and it's fouled off. One other thing, I have a confession to make. When Oral Hershiser was setting the baseball world on its ear, I had loved to hear the music from Les Mis. I used to play that all the time driving to and from the ballpark. And there was a song in Les Mis called Master of the House. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Aaron Hill, and that's taken on the inside corner, strike 3 call. So we'll talk about Master of the House, but not right now. At the end of 3.5, 1-0 Arizona. ARI@LAN.com or visit your local dealer now. Bottom of the fourth inning here at beautiful Dodger Stadium on a lovely evening. It's 1-0 Arizona. Andre Ethier, A.J. Ellis, and Jerry Sands coming up in that order. We were talking about Master of the House and the fact that listening to the music from Les Mis and how much I admired it. And so early in that 88 season, Hershiser was pitching very well. And one night, suddenly it struck me. He was doing so well in a game at Dodger Stadium, and I referred to him as Master of the House. And Ethier is hit by the first pitch, and he will go to first. So Wade Miley gets Andre Ethier. They had never faced each other, certainly in the big leagues. For Miley, in checking his numbers, that would be the second man that he's hit this year. So Ethier's at first, and here's Ellis. So anyway, this night I said Oral Hershiser, Master of the House, and Nancy B. Heffley, who is brilliant anyway, picked right up on it and played the music Master of the House. And so every time Oral pitched, she would play the music and I would mention Master of the House. Well, if you're familiar with the music from Les Mis, the woman singing Master of the House, it's the most sarcastic song you ever heard. The way she's singing it, the guy is anything but the Master of the House. But we used it and it worked well. Ground ball to short, the shovel for one, the turn for two, and just like that, 2 down in the fourth inning. So anyway, they were playing it umpteen times tonight, saluting Oral Hershiser. I hope Oral never reads the lyrics to Master of the House. So with 2 out, here's Jerry Sands. Sands broke his bat, single to right field in the second inning. 1 run, 3 hits for Arizona. No runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. Wade Miley pitching from a stretch with the bases empty, and his fastball is low, ball 1. 1-0. Jerry Sands, born in Clayton, North Carolina. He lives in a little town, Smithfield, North Carolina. Went to Catawba Community College. Dodgers drafted him in 2008. Fouls the pitch away, and the count 1-1. Jerry's put up good numbers every year. In fact, last year at Albuquerque, 29 home runs, 88 runs batted in. The 1-1 pitch is taken a strike. 1-2 the count. Miley checking with Montero. 2-2. The only run set up on a strikeout wild pitch that otherwise would have been the 3rd out. And then with the bases loaded, a walk. Meanwhile, they break the news to Jerry Sands. He's called out on strikes. And at the end of 4, 1-0 Arizona. internet, TV, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. Diamondbacks leading 1-0, top of the fifth. Wade Miley will start. Fouled away. He's a good hitter. We mentioned earlier he played center field in high school. He has a 5-game hitting streak, and he brings up a very unlikely average for a pitcher, 385. And he promptly bangs it into left field, so he's hit in 6 straight. Makes a turn and holds after the ball bobbled by Jerry's hands.
Center fielder, number 8, Gerardo Parra.
A difference in the pitching, where Wade Miley has been getting the leadoff man, except when he hit Ethier in the 4th inning and then got the double play. Arizona had Kubel double in the 2nd, Roberts single in the 4th, and Miley single here in the 5th, leading off. Here's Parra, fly to center and walk. Boy, did he have a big rip at that, huh? 0-1. Parra from Santa Barbara del Zulia. As we mentioned earlier, he rarely hangs around. He averages a little more than 3 pitches in at bat. He swings at the first pitch almost 40% of the time. 0-1. 1-1. Parra so far this year has stolen third base 3 times, but he's also been picked off base 4 times. D-backs have had 7 runners picked off this year. 1 ball and 1 strike. The bunt up along third, foul. 1-2. D-backs leading the Dodgers 1-0 in the 5th. Quite a duel. Chad Billingsley and Wade Miley. Or as Arizona says, Wade's World. Miley at first, top of the 5th. Parra is 6 feet, but you'd never know it, bent at the knees and waist. Fouled away. Parra started playing for the Diamondbacks back in 2006. He was only 19 years old. Blocked nicely by A.J. Ellis, holding his Miley. You know, the one thing that Parra rarely does, hit an infield pop fly. It's not much of a statistic, but he just doesn't pop the ball up very much. So far, 2% of his at-bats. And this time he strokes it into left center for a base hit. Ethier over to get it, makes a nice play to get it back in. And Miley has to stop at second. Good defensive play by Andre Ethier. Say a reminder, head to Dodger Stadium Tuesday, May 29th for the infield bobblehead. You know, Steve Garvey, Davey Lopes, Bill Russell, and Ron Say. There's a collection. And that bobblehead night is presented by State Farm. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. May the 29th, the Dodgers will be playing Milwaukee. Well, here's Willie Bloomquist. Single to left, fly to center, 1 for 2. Bloomquist last night led off 1 for 4, and Ellis took a base hit away from him. Batting just .219, however, shows bunt and ball 1. On deck, Justin Upton. Kirk, a very aggressive player, wants his players to be aggressive. One reason, I guess, why 7 of them have been picked off. Time for the moment. Justin Sellers over to talk to Billingsley. Here in the inning, Miley single to left, Parra singles to center, and Bloomquist trying to advance the runners. 1 run, 5 hits for Arizona, no runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. Dodgers still looking bunt. Loney is on the grass. Sellers caddy corner at third. Gordon trying to bird dog Miley out there at second base. That's a little low for ball 2. Well, Billingsley had to work his way through a tough second inning. Remember, he made 28 pitches, but he made 18 pitches that inning with 2 out. Now he's laboring with nobody out. And ground ball by the drawn-in Sellers, and the bases will be loaded. They're not going to run the pitcher, Miley, except to run him from second to third. So Bloomquist singles by Sellers. That fake bunt that Bloomquist put on brought Sellers in, and the ball was hit right by him. If he's back to a normal depth, he makes a play, maybe even a double play on the ground ball. So the bases are loaded, nobody out. Justin Upton will be the batter, and going out to talk to Billingsley, Rick Honeycutt. For Justin Upton, going head to head against Chad Billingsley, he came in hitting only .205 against him, and Justin has just 2 fly balls. Fly ball to center, fly ball to right. So he's 0 for 2, hitting only .222. He does have 3 home runs, 9 runs batted in, and no matter how bad his slump might be, he is still very well respected. And to refresh your memory, he has 2 grand slams in his career. Last year against Colorado, and 3 years ago he had a slam against the Dodgers and left-hander Randy Wolf. So here is Justin with Miley, Parra, and Bloomquist out there. And a ground ball up the middle, a great stop, and no further play. He tried to get a force, did Gordon, but he couldn't do it. Miley scores, the bases remain loaded. It's 2-0 Diamondbacks, and that will go as a base hit. What it did do, it saved the extra run, at least for the moment. Chopper up the middle, Gordon diving, and then the ball just squirted away, and by the time he got it there, Bloomquist had beaten the play. So an infield single, everybody moves up 90, bases remain loaded. Upton picks up a base hit and a run batted in, and Miley brings the run in. So 2 runs, 7 hits now, and we've had 4 straight hits in the inning. Miguel Montero popped to short, grounded to short, 0 for 2. He has 1 grand slam, and he hit it 4 years ago against Houston. 1 ball and no strikes. 2-0. So Billingsley trying to contain the damage, but he has Parra, Bloomquist, and Upton out there, and a run in. 2-0 Arizona. Fouled off. 2-1. They are beginning to move around in the Dodger bullpen. No one throwing yet, but they are stirring. And you can see Javi Guerra getting up. 2-1 the count to Montero, the cleanup hitter in the Arizona lineup. He has 17 runs batted in. Foul back. 2-2. Montero, the workhorse, he has piled up more innings in a crouch for Arizona than any other catcher working these days. He was an all-star last year from Venezuela. 2-2 the count. He has grounded into 5 double plays this year. That's pulled foul. You have Upton standing at first, Bloomquist at second, Parra at third. Nobody out, a run in. 2-2. And line to center, base hit. Parra will score, and Matt Williams is going to stop Bloomquist. Remember, Matt got burned last night as he was sending in Pollock, then tried to stop him, and it was far too late. So they are going station to station. Montero singles. That scores Parra. Everybody moves up. Upton goes to second. Bloomquist goes to third. It is 3-0 Arizona. Mattingly knows that Billingsley is due to bat third in the bottom of the 5th inning, but he's allowed 5 consecutive singles now. Miley single to left. Parra single to center. Bloomquist single to left to load the bases. Upton singled up the middle, smothered by Gordon, and now Montero singles to center. So 3 runs and 8 hits for the Diamondbacks, trying to break the game wide open as Jason Kubel checks in, and he has 7 grand slams, all of them hit in the big leagues, and Billingsley will not be pitching to him. So Chad coming out. Remember how frustrated and annoyed he was when he was taken out his last start, but this time pretty much driven to cover, and we'll be back. For Chad Billingsley. You know, Chad, one of only 3 National League pitchers to have won 10 or more games in each of the past 5 years. He is 72-54 coming into this game tonight, but he struggled and gives up 5 consecutive hits with nobody out. And Javi Guerra, once upon a time a closer, now has to just simply restore order. You have Bloomquist at third, Upton at second, Montero at first, and Jason Kubel, who doubled the left and grounded to first at the plate. 3 runs, 8 hits for Arizona. No runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. Check swing. They're going to look. No swing, says Marvin Hudson, and a 1-ball, no strike count. Standing room only. Now the 1-0 pitch, very high, ball 2, 2-0. Jason Kubel, although he was born in South Dakota, has lived in Palmdale since he was about 2 years old. Grew up following the Dodgers. Went to Highland High School in Palmdale. And promptly lines it, a base hit to right. 1 run will score. And that's the way they've been going. A base hit and a run. So everybody moves up another 90. Kubel a base hit, run batted in. Montero goes to second. Upton advances to third. Bloomquist comes home. And of course that run is also charged to Billingsley. In fact, Billingsley's not through. Kubel is Guerra's responsibility, but everybody out there still belongs to Chad. Ryan Roberts struck out and singled, 1 for 2. And ball 1. Ryan Roberts has 1 grand slam. I think we might have mentioned it to you last year, September the 27th, against Javi Guerra. And ball 2. So Javi facing a guy who beat him and broke his heart last year in a similar situation, but early in the year and in the 5th inning. Hard ground ball to third. Sellers to the plate. They get 1. Throw to first. They get 2. So Justin Sellers starts a 5-2-3 double play. And with 2 down, Lyle Overbay coming up. Ball was hit hard. Sellers alertly going accurately to Ellis, who got it to Loney just before Roberts arrived. So that slows down everything. Lyle Overbay now up there hitting .304 with a home run and 3 runs batted in. 1 ball and no strikes. Still runners at second and third, so they're still very much in business. 4-0 Arizona. 2-0 to Overbay. So Guerra gave up the base hit to Kubel, but then gets the double play from Roberts. Now trying to get out of it against Overbay, who has grounded to third and grounded into a double play started by Gordon. With first base open and Hill on deck, they've now gone 3-0, and they will walk Overbay, and it will be ruled intentionally. So they really didn't want anything from the left-hand batter, and they put him on. So Hill will come up. He was walked intentionally to get to Miley in the 2nd inning. And that's when Miley struck out on a wild pitch, and the D-backs scored a run. Last time up, Hill struck out in the 4th inning. Aaron Hill batting .244, 5 home runs, 14 runs batted in. Montero standing at third, Kubel at second, and now Overbay at first. So they load the bases yet again. Aaron with 5 home runs, hit 1 last night. He's from Visalia, went to school at LSU. 1 ball and no strikes. Ground ball to Gordon. The shovel quickly to Ellis, and that's it. 9 men came to the plate. The D-backs pick up 3, and at the end of 4.5 lead 4-0. They get 6 consecutive singles and wind up with 3 runs. The 4-0 Arizona, bottom of the 5th. Loney, Sellers, and then Guerra. Wade Miley has allowed 4 hits, no runs. But as good as he's been so far tonight, the Dodgers perhaps are, even though they might not know it, should be happy that this is not a day game. Here's why in a moment. Loney, a little roller. Aaron Hill to Overbay for the out. 1 away. In day games, the opposing hitters against Miley, 1 for 36. That's a batting average of .028. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Jamie Wright begins to loosen up. Guerra is due to bat third. Justin Sellers coming up. You know, the Giants are trying to wake up. They've won 3 straight. They're 6 back of the Dodgers, and the Rockies and Giants are tied 1-1, top of the 5th inning. 1 ball and no strikes. Waiting on deck, ready to make his first at bat, Elian Herrera comes out on deck. Though we have never seen him play before, but he's out there to bat for Guerra. 2-1 the count to Justin Sellers. So in a Dodger lineup that's minus Rivera, Uribe, Hairston, and Kemp, we're seeing Van Slyke and Sands and Sellers, and in a minute Herrera. 2-2 the count to Justin. Line drive right at Ryan Roberts. So Sellers hits it to his opposite number. We have 2 down, and Elian Herrera coming up. He's from San Pedro de Macorís, and of course Pedro Guerrero came from there, so we always think of Pete. When you talk about Elian Herrera, he has played shortstop, third base, second base, center field, left field. He's 27 years old. He was hitting .404 in the minor leagues against left-hand pitching. He was hitting .409 in the month of May, and that's a strike. He's 5'11 and 190. He is 27 years old, and the Dodgers signed him in 2003. 1 ball and 1 strike. Among other things, he has stolen as many as 41 bases, so you know he can run. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pop fly going out to get it is the shortstop, Bloomquist, and that'll be that for his major league debut. And at the end of 5, 4-0 Arizona. One of my favorite players was Joe DiMaggio, the center fielder of the New York Yankees. On this day in 1941, Joe D went 1 for 4 against the Chicago White Sox. It wasn't noticed. White Sox beat the Yankees that day 13-1. But that was the beginning of the incredible Joe DiMaggio streak of hitting successfully in 56 consecutive games. Now, what kind of a streak did he have? Well, among other things, he hit .408. Another note, in 56 games, Joe had 55 runs batted in. One other note, he had 15 home runs. And over that stretch of 56 games, this is incredible, 223 plate appearances. You know how many times DiMaggio struck out through the whole streak? You got it. 5. Let's go back to this one. Jamie Wright coming out of the Dodger bullpen to pick up. So it was Chad Billingsley, then Javi Guerra briefly. And now Jamie. 1 ball and 1 strike to Wade Miley, who struck out on a wild pitch, and that kept the inning alive, and the D-backs scored a run in the second inning, and then he singled to keep his streak alive. He has hit safely in 6 in a row. 1-2. Jamie Wright coming out of the Dodger bullpen with a record of 2-2 in his 13th game. And that's going to go down the left field line foul back into the stands. And 1-2 the count to the boy from the Bayou country of Louisiana. After Miley, Parra and Bloomquist. Bad ball, chased and missed it, down he goes. So Miley is fooled and strikes out, leading off here in the 6th inning. So be sure to bring the kids to Dodger Stadium Sunday. Dodgers and Cardinals, and the first 15,000 kids 14 and under in attendance receive their very own power necklace, compliments of Wetzel's Pretzels. For tickets, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. See you Sunday with the Birds. So Wright picks up a strikeout. Here is Parra. Fly to center, walk, single to center to drive in a run in that wild 5th inning. Arizona leads 4-0, and we're in the 6th. Joe DiMaggio. Unbelievable. You know, before he came to the big leagues, he played out here in San Francisco for the Seals. What did he do out here? He had a 61-game hitting streak 8 years earlier in 1933. Two and 0 the count. His streak was stopped by the Cleveland Indians, and the left side of the Cleveland Indian infield, the shortstop was Lou Boudreau. The third baseman was Kenny Keltner. And I think I heard that Keltner took a hit away from Joe to end the streak. And then what did he do? The streak was over. He started another streak of 16. So it meant in 1941, during the summer, DiMaggio hit safely in 72 of 73 games. Little roller, Loney flipping over to his man right. 2 down.
Batting next, shortstop, Willie Bloomquist.
We also mentioned to you a moment ago about, with all those at-bats during the streak, Joe struck only 5 times. But what was really eye-catching, in the last 32 games of the streak, when the pressure was great, and believe me, in New York, that's all you heard. He didn't strike at all in the last 32 games. Zip, none. There used to be a cigarette-sponsored radio show. Paul Douglas, I don't know if you remember the actor Paul Douglas, very funny actor. 1 ball and no strikes. Shot up the middle. So Bloomquist a base hit. So he is 3 for 4. So Bloomquist fattening up a little bit, and Justin Upton coming up. Anyway, they would give the scores of the Dodger games, Giant games, and then when they got to the Yankee games, they would be singing "What Did Joe Do?" And of course, that's where the great song Joe DiMaggio, "We Want You on Our Side," and the country was humming that. That lovely, naive summer of '41 before Pearl Harbor and World War II. Bloomquist over there at first base has stolen 3, but he's been caught 3, so a break-even runner is certainly not considered a good base stealer. Meanwhile, Upton 1 for 3 at the plate. And he lines it to center. Here comes Ethier to take a hit away from him. Andre Ethier, the all-star center fielder back in 2010, makes a great diving catch. That would make Matt Kemp proud. And at the end of 5.5, 4-0 D-backs. Ethier making that diving catch of the sinking line drive hit by Upton. And of course, for Justin, he could use some hits. He can't afford to have somebody rob him, but that's what Andre did. Now it'll be the top of the order. Gordon slaps at a bunt and misses it. 0-1. So if it's not an oxymoron, a swinging bunt. 0-1. Then Mark Ellis, Scott Van Slyke. Big bouncer to short. So Gordon 1 for 3 as he grounds to short. 1 out in the 6th, and Mark Ellis coming up. Remember, the Dodgers have been very successful against left-hand pitching here in Dodger Stadium. For Don Mattingly, his boys came into this game 6-1 at home against left-handers, but Miley so far has allowed 4 hits. Dodgers have gotten 1 man to third. Ball 1 to Mark Ellis. Diamondbacks trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Dodgers trying to extend a 5-game winning streak. 4 runs, 10 hits for Arizona. No runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. Wade Miley on deck. Scott Van Slyke. Ground foul outside of third. 2-2 to Mark Ellis, who is 2 for 2. Single to center, single to right. Mark batting .275. Now back. Another thing to illustrate how well Miley is pitching. The Dodgers have been shut out once this year on the road. Two and two. Off speed. That was an 80-mile-an-hour change. He throws up to 93. In the dirt. 3-2. Well, Miley, when you watch him, he throws a little bit across his body. And apparently by doing that, he gets a little cut on the fastball. He came directly over the top, and there's a long fly ball to center, and that one is gone. So Mark Ellis gets a fastball and hits it over the center field wall. He goes 3 for 3 tonight. The Dodgers now get away from the possible shutout. For Mark, his second home run. The other one, remember, he hit into the Dodger bullpen against Jamie Moyer. So the fastball above the knees out over the plate. Adios. Parra went back, but all he was hoping for, it would hit the fence and come back. So Ellis drives it out. Meanwhile, Van Slyke up there, 1 ball and no strikes. For Mark Ellis, the other home run, as we told you, against Moyer. 1 ball and 1 strike. Van Slyke twice hitting into force plays. And he hits a fly ball to center, but this one's in Parra's glove. 2 out in the 6th. For Mark Ellis, who really not only gets deep in the count, he's a very, very, very patient hitter, which makes him ideal number 2 with a base steal of Gordon in front of him. But he's a tough man to strike out. Now, before he hit the home run, that was an 8-pitch at bat. He had 2 2-strike foul balls. We've seen him do that quite often. Well, he has given the Dodgers a tremendous lift. Mark Ellis, by the way, has only struck out 15 times, and he's been there every game. So he's done everything you would ask of a number 2 hitter. There's Ethier gone the other way for a base hit to left. He'll hold it first. Kubel gets the ball back in. So a home run by Ellis, a 2-out single by Ethier to left field. And that'll bring up A.J. Ellis, who has struck out and hit into a double play. Miguel Montero out to talk to young Miley. A.J. reason to laugh, talking to the veteran umpire Tim McClellan. So Miley with a runner at first, a run in. It's 4-1 D-backs in the 6th. Drops that in there for a strike. 0-1. 4 runs, 10 hits for Arizona, 1 run, 6 hits for the Dodgers. And a line drive base hit to left field. Ethier is stopping at second. And now the Dodgers get their first look at the game tonight, because Jerry Sands will come up with 2 out, representing the possible tying run. So Ellis now has hit safely in 20, or reached first safely in 25 straight and 28 of the last 29. So in the inning, a home run and 2 singles. Charles Nagy going out to counsel the young left-hander. Could be a little fatigue in the inning. So Jerry Sands has to wait. Down in the bullpen, Brad Ziegler, a right-hander, loosening up. So while Ziegler gets ready, Dodgers trying to get something going here. In the inning, Gordon grounded to short. Mark Ellis, an 8-pitch at bat, hit a home run. Then you had Van Slyke hit the ball well, but right at par. Then Ethier going the other way, a line drive single to left, and A.J. Ellis pulls one to left. So here's Sands, broke his bat and single to right, and last time up struck out. Fouled away. When Sands was with the Dodgers earlier last year, he had a propensity, how about that word, for going to right, center, and right. If you remember watching him, he hardly ever hit the ball to the left side. So let's see his first at bat coming back to the club. He's single to right. And he goes to right. Little fly ball up and makes the catch. So for the Dodgers, a home run by Ellis and 2 singles. They leave 2, 1 in, and at the end of 6, 4-1 D-backs. They go on the road by bus tonight when this game is over, and they have a 3:30 game tomorrow afternoon, and it should be for the Dodgers. They'll start Capuano, and then Harang will pitch Thursday night. So tomorrow on KCAL, Thursday and Friday here with the Cardinals, both on Prime. Saturday with the Cardinals, KCAL 9. So Mark Ellis gets the Dodgers on the board, but they're down by 3. And in the 7th inning, Miguel Montero against Jamie Wright. And a strike. 0-1. Montero, who it appears catches every day, cracked the bat, or at least I heard a twang. Yep, he's leaving to get another. 0-2. He didn't break it, but you heard that celery stalk sound. A sound that all bad hitters know and know well. Miguel is anything but a bad hitter, however, hitting .263, 2 home runs, 18 runs batted in. He had a 2-hit inning about a week ago against the Cardinals. And he just hits it into left field for a base hit. So Arizona now coming up with their 11th hit, and Montero is 2 for 4, going the other way.
Left fielder, number 13, Jason Kubel.
Jason Kubel doubled to left, grounded to first, and singled to right. 2 for 3, scored 1, knocked 1 in. In the Arizona lineup, 2 men on the outside looking in, Overbay and Hill. Everybody else has at least 1 hit. Ball 1. Kubel hitting .305, 3 home runs, 15 runs batted in. Kubel had a solid career with Minnesota. He hit for the cycle against the Angels 3 years ago, and in his last at bat to cinch the cycle, he hit a grand slam home run to win the game. In there, 2-1. He usually gets deep in the count. He averages 4.5 pitches per at bat. If it were 2-0, the chances are exceptional that he would be swinging. Gibby really lets him hit 2-0. 3-1 the count. Jamie Wright, the third Dodger pitcher. Billingsley went 4. Guerra had to come in and get some outs. And now Jamie. Montero at first, nobody out. And that's low for ball 4. So the D-backs first and second, nobody out. Ryan Roberts coming up. A.J. Ellis out to talk to Jamie. Jamie Wright has been pitching professionally for a living since 1993. He was originally a first-round pick by the Rockies at a high school in Oklahoma City. And he came up with the Rockies. Jamie pitched for the Rockies and the Brewers and the Royals. Back to the Rockies, then the Giants and the Rangers. Back to the Rangers and Royals. Then to the Indians and the Mariners. So he has much traveled. And a strike. 0-1. Ryan Roberts came up with a runner at second and struck out. Then he led off the 4th inning and singled, and then came up and banged into a double play in the 5th inning. Struggling at 2:08, and he is 2 on, nobody out. One ball and 1 strike. Roberts heavily tattooed, as you can see. One of them above his initials RR are the words "Only the strong survive." That's his outlook on life and baseball. And Ryan hits it into center field for a base hit. Montero almost collides with Matt Williams. Matt coming out of the box, and he and Montero went head to head there for a split second. So the bases are loaded. Here's Montero, and there's Matt. Whoop, look out. So the bases loaded, nobody out. Montero laughing about that near collision, and Lyle Overbay, who was grounded to third, hit into a double play, and was walked intentionally. So here are the D-backs loading the bases yet again. 0-1. Overbay hitting .304 with a home run and 3 runs batted in. He has 3 grand slams in his career against Cincinnati twice and Oakland. Of course, Lyles played for Arizona, Milwaukee, Toronto, Pittsburgh. Another much traveled player. 1-1. Dodgers bust down the road to San Diego. Chris Capuano tomorrow afternoon on KCAL against a very talented left-hander, Clayton Richard. And then the 7:05 game Thursday night on Prime, Aaron Harang and Edinson Volquez. 2-1 the count. Seven times Jamie Wright went to spring training as a non-roster invitee, and 7 times he made the club. And the 7th was this year with the Dodgers. He's wearing the number of a left-hander who was everybody's favorite in Brooklyn, Elwin Preacher Rowe, out of Ash Flats, Arkansas, and he was that and then some. Preacher Rowe, number 28. 2-1. Montero, Kubel, and Roberts are all out there. Nobody out. Fastball hit to left field, going back is Sands, makes the catch, tagging Montero. He will bring it in, and the D-backs lead 5-1. And Overbay, who was 0 for 2, now has a scoring fly ball and a handful of 5.
Aaron Hill.
So Aaron Hill coming up. 5-1 D-backs. Hill walked intentionally, struck out, and hit into a force play. 5 home runs, 14 runs batted in. Ball 1. Rick Honeycutt on the phone when the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 7th. Wright is due to bat 3rd. It'll be Loney, Sellers, and then Jamie. And ball 2. Aaron Hill, we mentioned, is from Visalia, went to school at LSU, was a big fan as a little kid of the Visalia Oaks. 2-0. 2-1. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Todd Coffey begins to loosen up. Two and one to Aaron. His family is very athletic. His brother plays college baseball. His dad was a draft pick by the Oakland A's. Ground foul outside of 3rd, 2-2. They tell me his mom was an excellent sprinter as well. So Jamie Wright, trying to get out of the inning, has given up a run. 5 runs, 12 hits for the Diamondbacks. 1 run, 7 hits for the Dodgers. Two and 2 time. Last time we checked, the Giants and the Rockies were tied up 1-1. The Rockies now lead the Giants 3-1 in the 6th. Fastball, slap foul. Boy, that was a pretty good attempt to guard the plate. That pitch was down on the outside part of the plate, almost got by Hill, and he just did get a piece of it. Aaron's a guitar player. Back in school, he played in the church band, and he's just kept on playing. 2 on, a run in, 5-1 Arizona. Nice save by A.J. Ellis. So 3-2 the count. In the inning, Montero singled to left. Kubel walked. Roberts singled to load him up. Overbay's long fly ball to left. Picked one up. 3-2 with the pitcher Miley, a good hitter, on deck. 1 out. Runner's not going, and down goes Hill. So Aaron Hill strikes out, and that'll bring up Wade Miley. Pitch should have been ball 4, and Hill going after the bad ball. So now Miley, who struck out on what turned out to be a wild pitch, and that helped Parra to come up instead of the inning over, and he walked to force in a run. Miley then singled in the 5th inning. Ball 1. Miley, a very good hitting pitcher, has hit safely in 6 straight. Did strike out in the 6th, but he still is hitting .400. 1 ball, no strikes. 2-0. Miley, the 6th man to come to the plate here in the 7th. They had 9 men come up in the 5th inning when they had 6 singles. 2-1 to count. Dodgers home for the weekend with the St. Louis Cardinals, and they will be certainly tested. The Cardinals in first place in the Central. 2 balls, 1 strike. Ball 3. So Wright is doing a bit of a high wire act. He went 3-2 to Hill, who obliged by striking out on a bad ball. Now he's 3-1 to Miley. And a strike. 3-2. So with 2 out, the runners will be going. Kubel from second, Roberts from first. Rockies leading the Giants up north 3-1. There go the runners, and a ground ball to Sellers. He'll go across to first. That's it. So the D-backs get 1 on a couple of hits and a scoring fly ball. And we're heading to the bottom of the 7th. 5-1 Arizona. leading 5-1. Left-hander Wade Miley has limited the Dodgers to 7 hits and 1 run. Jamie Wright worked hard, made 28 pitches, and now it will be Loney, Sellers, and a hitter for Wright as the Dodgers try to come back. Loney is grounded into a double play and grounded out. James hitting .241. Fastball, but low, ball 1. Loney in there against what appeared to be a very talented left-hander, and he came into the game hitting .152 against lefties. That's a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Wade Miley out of Louisiana, the Bayou country. Curveball lifted to left field. Kubel is there. 1 away. And the batter will be Justin Sellers, who struck out and then last time up hit a bullet, but right at the glove of Ryan Roberts. Hitting after Sellers is Jamie Wright, and Tony Gwynn will bat for him. The way Don Mattingly figured before the game, he would play Ethier in center field, and Tony Gwynn would play the day game in San Diego. They have a very spacious center field area down there, so he figured this would be a good time to give Tony a rest, and then he'll be in there tomorrow in center field. 1 ball and 1 strike. So the Dodgers struggling against left-hander Wade Miley, and they'll get a left-hander tomorrow afternoon in Clayton Richards. But as we told you, the Dodgers have been very successful against left-handers at home, 6-1. On the road against left-handers, they're 3-5. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. Miley has spent over 90 pitches to get to the 7th. 2-2 to Justin Sellers. Kirk Gibson was talking about Sellers before the game, and he said that little experience last year, that sniff that he had of the big leagues, has certainly helped him. Never heard it put quite that way. The sniff. Three and 2 to Justin. The pride of Bellflower and Huntington Beach. And he draws the walk. For Miley, maybe fatigue, maybe not. That's the first walk that he's given up, although he did hit Ethier in the 4th inning. So now Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn hitting just .167 against left-hand pitching. Coming off the bench, 4 for 9, 5 RBIs, 2 of those at-bats, game winners. That bases clearing triple on a no-ball 2-strike count tossed by Tim Lincecum to beat the Giants, and then the flare single to left field, no balls and 2 strikes. That picked up the victory against the Rockies. 97 pitches made by Wade Miley. No one throwing in the Arizona bullpen. Some teams give you the pitch count, some don't. Last game against St. Louis, Miley made 94 pitches. He's made as many as 99. A broken bat, little blooper, fair ball. So Jerry Sands broke a bat and had a single to right. Gwynn shatters his bat and gets a single to left. And now the Dodgers have first and second and one out. Dodgers have been playing very well, and they have also been very fortunate. People accept the word fortunate. You can say to the ball club, you have been fortunate. But if you say to them you're lucky, whoa. So let's say they're fortunate, and there's another case. Brian Shaw, a right-hander, gets up down in the Arizona bullpen. 2 on, 1 out. 0-1 to D. Gordon. Struck out, single to short, grounded to short. 1-for-3. They still look bunt. It's always a weapon. Overbay well in. Roberts hangs out near the bag at third. Fastball missed. 1-1. Gordon batting .215. Fastball popped up into shallow right. Upton there. So the runners hold on the little fly ball, and the batter will be Mark Ellis. Mark Ellis bidding for a perfect night. And now let's see. Gibby has a right-hander throwing, and seeing that his left-hander has made 101 pitches, he's going to take him out. And Wade Miley is not happy about coming out. He doesn't even want to look at Gibby. So he's allowed 1 run, 8 hits, but he leaves 2 men on. Shaw riding to the rescue, he hopes, and we'll be back. A great effort, 101 pitches and 1 earned run. That was a home run by Mark Ellis. Understandable that they hooked him. Ellis is 3 for 3 against him, and they bring in the right-hander Brian Shaw. Brian is from Livermore up north. That's where Randy Johnson was from. He was the closer at Long Beach State about 4 years ago. They had a look at him as a starter, and now he's back in relief. Basically, fastball, slider, curveball, and a changeup. 24 years old. He'll be 25 in November. So Brian Shaw working on Mark Ellis. Ellis single to center, single to right, and homered over the center field fence. Dodgers with 2 on, getting another look at the game. Ball 1. Fastball that Shaw throws, that was 94. He has been clocked at 96. 6-1, 215. Fastball, slider, curve, and a change. Although they say the curve and the changeup still need some improvement. That's in there. 1-1. So his first two pitches, 94 and 93. Brian Shaw. And a fly ball to center, but it's playable. Parra is there to make the catch. And so, for that reliever, Brian Shaw, he's retired 16 of 17 first batters and has stranded all 9 in the D-backs lead 5-1. Pitcher, it's been Chad Billingsley, Javi Guerra, Jamie Wright, and now Todd. Billingsley stands to lose unless the Dodgers can get off the floor. There's certainly a couple of things for Kirk Gibson to feel better about. Among other things, the pitching of Wade Miley, the hitting of his ball club, 12 hits. And also, when the Diamondbacks came in, they were hitting just 198 with the bases loaded this year. Well, tonight, Kirk's had 8 batters come up with the bases loaded. 5 of the 8 came through with an RBI. And remember, when they were 15 and 22, that's when they started to make their move last year. They were 15 and 21 coming into this one. Gerardo Parra, Willie Bloomquist, and then Justin Upton against Todd Coffey. Ball 1, 1-0. Todd Coffey is 1-0 in his 7th game. Out for a while, though he's only worked 3 innings. Change up off the plate. Though he's behind 2-0. Parra flied to center and walked, single to center and grounded out. Gerardo 1 for 3, hitting .261. And ball 3. So Coffey, who has walked 3 and struck out 4, behind now 3-0. That's in there. Five runs, 12 hits for the D-backs. Bunch of singles and 1 double. The Dodgers 1 run, 8 hits, a bunch of singles, and a home run. Foul ball, 3-2. Dodgers winning last night to win their 5th in a row, administer the third game in a row loss to the D-backs, and now each streak is on the line tonight. Three and two to Gerardo Parra. Hit it off the end of the bat. One away. So that'll bring up Willie Bloomquist.
Batting next, shortstop number 18, Willie
Bloomquist, single to left, fly to center, single to left and single to center. So Willie is 3 for 4. Of course, the big exhibition was the 5th inning. They had 5 straight hits, all singles to Chase Billingsley, and then a base hit against Guerra. So they had 6 straight hits in the 5th, but scored only 3. They were going 90 feet at a time, or station to station. Ball 1. Paid attendance tonight, 47,077 on Oral Hershiser bobblehead night. 1-0. Ball 2. Down in the bullpen for Arizona, David Hernandez now begins to loosen up. And that's ball 3. Dodgers have played before about 775,000 in the 20 home dates. And don't forget the weekend, the Cardinals. 3-1 to count. So Coffey got Parra. 3-1 to Bloomquist, and Justin Upton on deck. And ball 4. So a 1-out walk will bring up Upton. And a reminder, join the Dodgers Saturday, Dodger Stadium 50th anniversary Fan Fest presented by State Farm. There'll be autographs and music, live entertainment, games, and more. Gates open at 12 p.m. prior to the game with the Cardinals at 7:10, and entry is included with your ticket to the game. So visit Dodgers.com/50th, and we will see you at the Fan Fest. Here's Upton. Robbed of a hit last time up, a diving catch by Andre Ethier in center field. He is 1 for 4. Fly to center, fly to right, single to short, and robbed by Ethier in center. So Justin 1 for 4, batting .227, 3 home runs, 10 runs batted in. Bad ball way out in front of it. 1-1. Upton is superbly gifted. You watch him play and it appears to be effortless. The problem with an effortless style, if you're not doing exceptionally well and you're effortless, the fans get on you. They think you're not trying hard enough. 1-2. Last year he had .289 with 31 home runs, 88 runs batted in, and he also stole 21 bases. Going back to 09, he had 26 home runs, 86 RBIs, stole 20. Kirk Gibson very patient with Justin Upton. Upton gets called out on strikes a lot, so he's still not quite sure of the strike zone. Upton, with all of the time that he has played in the big leagues, and remember he came up in 07, he's going to be 25. There goes the runner. The throw is outside. The throw down is in time. And a 2-ball, 2-strike count. So Bloomquist is nailed. I'm not sure whether that was a straight steal or Upton was supposed to swing, but Bloomquist is not a good base stealer. Remember, we mentioned earlier he's break even, and now he's not even break even. So Upton took it. Bloomquist hung out to dry by Ellis, and it's a 2-2 count to Justin Upton. 2 out in the 8th, 5-1 Arizona. 3-2. Another thing that Upton is not doing this year, he's not hitting with 2 out. He's hitting about 160. And this time he walks. So they were running Bloomquist, and they pay the price. Otherwise, back-to-back walks, they'd have 2 on with 1 out. Instead, there are 2 outs and 1 on. Now Upton, always a threat. He's stolen 6 out of 7. He misses his partner in center field, I'm sure, Chris Young. Young made a sensational catch, but he crashed into a wall and hurt his shoulder, and they haven't really been the same ball club since they lost Young. Montero has popped to short, grounded to short, single to center, single to left. 2 for 4, scored a run. Miguel batting .269, 2 home runs, 18 runs batted in. One and one. So Coffey has walked 2, but he has 2 out. Upton not showing any signs of trying to steal. Maybe they want to keep Loney on the bag. Two and one. Montero is certainly not what you would call a pull hitter. And if you look at the game tonight, he's gone the other way 3 times. Popped to short, grounded to short, single to left. Base hit went to center in the 5th inning when he drove in a run. So we'll see now after the meeting, not just the pitch selection, but the location. Montero 0 for 4 last night, struck out twice, and he hit the foul ball when Justin Sellers made that highlight catch. Pulls it on the ground of the hole, but Ellis is there, and that'll be that. So nothing across in the 8th. We go to the bottom of the 8th. D-backs 5, Dodgers 1. start from Wade Miley, who went 6 2/3. Then they brought in Shaw, who got his man to end the 7th. And now David Hernandez out of Sacramento. David is 6'3", 215-pounder, who was drafted 3 times before he began his career. The Rockies wanted him in 03. He said no. Diamondbacks wanted him in 04. He said no. In 05, he finally signed with Baltimore. The Orioles chose him in June of 05. And then in 2010, Arizona sent Mark Reynolds and John Hester to Baltimore, picking up David. Basically, fastball, 4-seamer, curve and a change. He has a lot of deception, they say. It's tough to see the ball. Strike, 0-1. For David Hernandez, 0-1, good ERA of 2. And his strikeout to walk ratio is just about 6-1. Fastball, curve, and a change. Hernandez last year was very important to Arizona. Drops that in off speed, and that'll do it for Van Slyke. So Van Slyke strikes out and goes 0 for 4. Let's take a look at the Dodger lineup now with the kids in there. Van Slyke is 0 for 4. Sands is 1 for 3, and Sellers is 0 for 2. Now Andre Ethier struck out against Miley, was hit by Miley's pitch in the 4th inning, single to left field sharply in the 6th against Miley, and now facing Hernandez. Ball 1. Scott Elbert gets up in the Dodger bullpen. One ball and no strikes. Off the corner, 2-0. Andre batting .311, 8 home runs, 33 runs batted in. And lifts it to left field. Playable. Kubel is there. 2 down. A.J. Ellis coming up. Struck out, hit into a double play, and then single to left field in the 6th inning. So he has reached base safely on hit or walk 25 straight and 28 of the last 29. Up north, at one time the Rockies and the Giants were 1-1. Then the Rockies were leading 3-1, and we'll give you an update. Ball 1. Rockies got to Tim Lincecum for 4 runs in his 7th inning. Then Melky Cabrera doubled in 2. Giants are still hitting in the 7th, and they are trailing Colorado 4-3 with 1 out. 1 ball and no strikes. Giants have won 3 in a row and began the day 6 back of the Dodgers, and they have just tied up the game, have the Giants, 4-4. Ellis batting .315. Times a breaking ball, flares it to right center, and it will drop. So A.J. goes 2 for 4. And the batter will be Jerry Sands. So Ellis continues his hitting. Remember, he came into the game hitting .314. And he's added points to that. Sands broke his bat, single to right, struck out, flied to right. And as we mentioned, that would be the same Sands that we saw last year going the other way. Good fastball. Wow, 97. No balls and 1 strike. Another fastball in there. So Sands now in a hole 0-2. Ball 1. What you could say at first glance about the Arizona bullpen, they are average in every area. Saves, opportunities, blown saves, inherited runners, average. Two and two. The relievers who are below average as far as allowing inherited runners to score, Breslow and Shaw. Brad Ziegler's been pretty effective getting double plays. 2 and 2. And got him. Kind of a late, well, not a late call. It's typical Tim McClellan. So 2 strikeouts, 1 left, and at the end of 8, D-backs 5, Dodgers 1. Five-1. They have led all evening. Diamondbacks scored a run in the second inning. Pretty much broke the game open in the 5th with 6 singles to lead 4-0. Dodgers came back with 1 run, the home run by Mark Ellis in the bottom of the 6th. And Arizona came back in the 7th with another run. So 5-1 Arizona. It's been Billingsley, Guerra, Wright, Coffey, and now Elbert. Arizona will have Kubel, Roberts, and Overbay. And when the Dodgers hit in the bottom of the 9th, they have the bottom 3 in their lineup: Loney, Sellers, and Elbert. That's a strike. 0-1 the count. Kirk Gibson trying to get above 500 in his managing career against the Dodgers. We mentioned it at the start of the game. Kirk right now is 14-14 against his old club. One ball and 1 strike. Kubel hitting .305. 3 home runs, 15 runs batted in, and lifts one to left center. Gordon out, coming in is Sands. 1 away. So that'll bring up Ryan Roberts, who has struck out, singled, hit into a double play, and singled again. Scott Elbert is in his 16th game, but he's only worked 8 2/3 innings. That's right. Opposition, however, has had success against him, hitting .389. 0-1. Off the plate, 1 ball and 1 strike to Ryan Roberts. Lyle Overbay, the left-hand hitting first baseman, on deck. Oh, great change. Roberts way out in front. I don't think there was ever more stories written about the changeup until the day Johnny Padres beat the Yankees in the World Series and gave the Brooklyn Dodgers their only World Championship. And John sure had a great change that day.
First baseman.
Yep, 1955, the only championship for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And now with 2 out, here's Overbay, grounded to third, hit into a double play, was walked intentionally, and had a scoring fly ball to pick up an RBI. Lyle hitting .304. Ball 1. 47,077 were here. Not now. But we had a fine crowd. Oral Hershiser bobblehead night. Wrinkles in for a strike. 1-1. To repeat, when the Dodgers come up in the 9th, Loney, Sellers, and Elbert spot. Adam Kennedy might very well be the batter for Elbert. Five runs, 12 hits for Arizona. 1 run, that was the home run, and 9 hits for the Dodgers. The home run by Mark Ellis. And there's Adam Kennedy getting ready. Fastball hit up the middle. So Overbay comes up with a base hit. And that means the only man on the outside looking in is Aaron Hill. So Overbay a base hit, a scoring fly ball. Aaron Hill last night had a home run. Tonight he was walked intentionally. He has struck out twice, hit into a force play. And the D-backs with 13 hits, and he's still looking for 1. Aaron batting .240 and a strike. Paul Goldschmidt, right-hand hitting first baseman, is out on deck to hit for David Hernandez. Puts figures to close. He usually does. One and one to Aaron Hill. Elbert, the 5th Dodger pitcher. Overbay, a quiet runner. That's going to go foul. 1-2. Two out, 9th inning, 5-1 Arizona. The Dodgers will bust to San Diego when this game is over. Yep. Strike 3 call, so a tough night for Aaron Hill. He's the only one to remain hitless. Strikes out 1, 2, 3 times. And it's 5-1 Arizona. to try to close up shop. Putz is 0-2. He's only been in 11 games. He has saved 6. He saved 45 last year. JJ, big man, he's 6'5", 250. 35 years old, born in Michigan, in Trenton, Michigan, still lives there. Drafted out of the University of Michigan by the Mariners in 1999. Came up with the Mariners, stayed with them for about 5 years. Then he pitched for the Mets for 1 year, the White Sox, Diamondbacks, and then he came back, and here he is. His full name is Joseph J. Putz. JJ to the world. He was a catcher until his junior year in high school, and he'll be facing James Loney. Putz last year was almost unhittable, especially on the road. And Loney, a fly ball to left field. Kugel is there. So 1 pitch, 1 away. You know what he did on the road last year? He allowed only 9 hits all year. Opposing batters in their own ballparks hit 113 against him. He's remarkable. Now here he nails Loney on 1 pitch. And Justin Sellers with Adam Kennedy on deck. Sellers struck out, lined out, and walked. That's in there for a strike. 0-1. Putz, besides the 45 saves last year, in 2 years he had 76 saves for the Mariners. A little low, 1 ball and 1 strike. One ball, 1 strike. He throws a splitter, and most hitters say it's one of the best. Fly ball to center. Parra's at the other end of it. So the Dodgers are down to their last out. The D-backs trying to hold on to a 5-1 lead. Adam Kennedy, who figured, will now come up and hit. Dodgers using their 3rd pinch hitter, and Herrera popped to short. Gwynn single to left, breaking his bat, and now here's Kennedy. Kennedy, coming off the bench, has had 10 at-bats. He's 2 for 10. That's a strike. 0-1. So don't forget, tomorrow a 3:30 game from San Diego, KCAL. And then Thursday night, 7:05, prime ticket. Capuano tomorrow afternoon. Harang Thursday night. 1 ball and 1 strike to Adam Kennedy. There's Aaron Harang. Pitchers usually talking to pitchers. Here's the 1-1 pitch coming up. Kennedy hits it over first and down the line. Base hit, and he can jog into second with a pinch hit double. So Adam Kennedy with 2 outs doubles into the right field corner, and the batter will be D. Gordon. Dodgers 1 run, 10 hits. The Diamondbacks 5 runs, 13 hits. The only Dodger run with a home run by Mark Ellis in the 6th inning. D. Gordon has struck out, singled, grounded out, flied out. As always, they pull up the corners, trying to defend against a possible bunt. And ball 1. Up north at AT&T Park, they're going to the bottom of the 8th inning. Rockies 4, Giants 4. Giants trying to win their 4th in a row and trying to get within 5 of the Dodgers. 1-0. Fastball for a strike. 1-1 to D with Mark Ellis on deck. Little ground foul. 1-2. Dodgers have the best record at home. They were 16-3 going into this game. Mattingly's club had won 24 of the first 35. And they had won 5 in a row, but looks like Gibby's going to stop that and get rid of his own 3-game losing streak. 1-2. Pop foul behind the plate. Miguel Montero makes the play. So Gordon fouls out. The Dodgers leave Kennedy, and that's that. 5 runs, 13 hits, and no errors for the D-backs. 1 run, 10 hits, and no errors for the Dodgers. The winning pitcher, Wade Miley, he's now 4-1. The losing pitcher, Chad Billingsley, is 2-3 and 10-8 lifetime against Arizona. So now it's on, as we say goodnight to Oral Hershiser. It's on to San Diego, and we'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon, 3:30, right here on KCAL 9. Till then, wish you all a very pleasant good evening.